Welcome back, everybody. We are at race number 4 of the 2024 OVKA karting season. The race was held out at G&J Kartway in Camden, Ohio. You probably know that from seeing previous videos that I've put out. But we are going out. This is going to be a night race, but the pre-final takes place when the sun hasn't quite gone down. This is in the middle of the summer, probably in June or early July, and probably late June, and it's getting dark around like 9 p.m. But we had qualifying, and I didn't do so well. I think I qualified. It looks like I qualified 6th. So we're about ready to roll off. It's going to be a pre-final and then a final. The final will be when it's dark. But we're off. I'll go out a little wide here. I'm going to end up in 5th place heading down to turn number 3. We're doing one of the shorter track configurations. I believe this is configuration B that we're going to be doing right here. But everybody's in a nice little train right now. No one's doing anything crazy. Everybody's starting to settle in. And I get gapped up a little bit right there. One thing I did after this race is I did make some changes to the springs in my clutch. It's quite possible, I'm a skimper. I try to spend as little amount of money as possible, and I probably let the springs in this clutch go a little long. Do I really know what kind of bad effect it has? I have no idea. But after this race, I did. Things started going a little bit better for me, I think, when it came to speed and acceleration out of the corners. I might have been running like 4 black springs at this time, and I think I went back to, 2 black, 2 white, or 2 black and 2 yellow. That's for the Hilliard flame clutches. I do not run the stingers. For me, the maintenance is a lot easier on the Hilliard flames, and they perform relatively well. I'm not winning races, but I'm getting a lot closer to the front than I used to be. In this race, again, I think I'm getting killed in the acceleration points. Like right here, I'm getting gapped up heading down into turn 1. But when I hit most of these turns, it seems like I can pull the competition back in a little bit. But then they'll stretch it right back out on me right here. But really, when I start getting down to the, this is going to be turn 3, so turns 4, 5, I guess 6, I usually am able to close back in. Like right here, this corner especially, I was coming up on people pretty well through there. And I don't mind this, configuration. All the turns are relatively easy. But again, I'm getting smashed down to turn 1. Most everybody qualified relatively fast, except for the 16, I think, was a few tenths in front of everybody. As you can see, he's driven off the front a little bit, but after him, there's a good chunk of us that are all within a tenth or 2 of each other when it came to qualifying times. The 20's up there. He's hanging pretty tough. He was, I think, maybe a race before this, or he had a purple lap, so. He didn't win the race, but he had the fastest lap time of the event. And right there, I think there was a little blocking going on. You can see a hand signal from the 86, and there was some swerving going on in front of him. I think the 20 does end up, spoiler alert, he's going to get hit with a black flag. You'll see it at the end of the race, and it is going to end up costing him a few start positions. But there was no, we didn't have any wreck or anything like that. It sorted itself out. That's why you have officials there. They can monitor this stuff and try to keep everybody in check. So you have good, clean racing. And I think, that was the only black flag that happened was in this heat right here. It seemed to rectify the situation. And when I do get to the final will be in this video. It goes off without any penalty, pretty much without a hitch. But I've jumped ahead, I think, in this video, and we're getting close towards the end right here. And again, you can see first place is driven way off the front. Second, third, and fourth are right in front of me. They gapped me out a little bit. It didn't help when the black flag got thrown, the 86, it looked like there could have been a crash, so he backed off a little bit, and I backed off a little bit, and he was able to get caught back up, but I got kind of yo-yoed off the back, and I just, my acceleration wasn't quite there, and I just wasn't able to hang with the group. So, with the penalties assessed from the black flag, instead, I finished 5th in the first heat. The 20, he finished in 2nd, but he ended up getting, I think, penalized back to either 5th or 6th or something like that. So he was behind me, and I started in 4th position. And again, I apologize. I just really do not have my nighttime settings squared away on my GoPro. And, the settings for the night are different than the day, and when you're busy messing with your go-kart during the day, or making any changes that you're going to make, it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to go to your GoPro and start clicking through all the menus and change the settings for a nighttime race. So I just threw it in my GoPro case, just basically set on automatic, let it try to, let the GoPro try to figure out how to make it look good. And it kind of succeeds and kind of doesn't. But we're off. We come around turn 1, and I'm going to, with my outside position, I'm able to stay on the track. I was given plenty of room on the inside, so I didn't get pushed into the dirt, and I was able to maintain 3rd position through the first few laps here. Again, I don't think I made any changes, to my go-kart. I don't think I changed gears on this race. I definitely did not take my clutch apart at the race, and I didn't change any springs or anything like that. But I think, once I reviewed all this video and saw how I was, getting kind of crushed, at least to me, and I do believe I have 3 motors, so I may have switched motors after this race. But I've jumped ahead, and, I'm in 3rd now, but I've got the 86, who I was able to get in front of at the start. You don't really see him too well, but he pulled alongside of me going into turn 3, and he stayed there the whole time. And once we came out of it, now he's lined up for the inside. So instead of forcing the issue, I just dropped in behind him, since he had basically the superior position right there. There is a decent amount of room there. You probably can try to drive around it too wide. You might rub wheels a little bit. Your risk of getting tossed up in the air gets a little greater. So I just, and I knew he was fast from the previous race, so I didn't put up a big giant challenge right there. I figured I'd just try to hang with him and see if he made any mistakes. One thing about our Legends class is a lot of us now, I don't have tons and tons of experience, but I believe I'm in my 5th year of go-kart racing. Most of the other guys are right around that same mark, if not 10 to 15 years more than that, when it comes to go-kart racing. So we don't typically make tons and tons of, big errors where, the person behind you can capitalize and make a pass. But I really wasn't paying a whole ton of attention. I mean, I was just looking forward and trying to catch the 86. I did not really realize that the 20 had caught up to me, and he just blew right past me in that last corner. Like I said, he had some fast times the race before, and he again was relatively, I think he qualified 2nd, so he was fast, this evening as well. But I'm able to actually, through the footage here, I'm going to stay with him. I don't know. The temperatures drop a little bit in the evening, and sometimes that does affect your handling. Your tires, it may cool your tires down than what they were running in the daytime, and it might affect your grip. Plus, I think, our feature was probably 12 to 15 laps. So you put a little more time on them, a little more time for them to get heated up. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen when the conditions change, but it definitely is cooled off now in comparison to the temperatures we were running in the daytime. So again, I'm able to stay relatively close to the 20, and I'm actually having to make effort at times to just not run into him, because he does have pretty good acceleration, but I'm rolling through the corners, I think, a little bit better. So unfortunately, I'm catching him either in the middle of the corners and turns, or right at the end when I need to have my momentum up, because I don't really, have as equal. I don't believe my acceleration is as good as his, and it's just crushing me every time. I'll catch right up to him in the corners. I'll have to kind of back off so I don't blast him, and then once we pop out of the corners, he hammers it down and pulls back away from me. But I mean, those are the things you need to overcome when you're trying to figure out how to get better at go-kart racing. In this instance, I realized I'm going to have to make some kind of changes, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure I swapped the motors after this one. And in future videos, my results did end up being a little bit different than how they came out in this race. Like, the guys that I'm usually close to, the 86 and the 318, they're off the front. They're not even really in view anymore. And I don't know, I could be a good 7-8 seconds behind them on this short track, which is not really good. As you can see right there, I'm having to swerve around because I don't really want to hit the brakes, but I don't really want to run into the go-kart that much. I don't want to hit my competitor that hard. Again, at this point in time in the season, I'm thinking, am I being too courteous on the track? Like right there, I could have probably really tried to force it in right there. We'd have rubbed our wheels up pretty good. One of us might have jumped up in the air. Might have bent some stuff up. So I kind of like tucked back in, and I got one more shot, I think, right here. But again, I got up on his bumper just a little too soon, and it scrubbed down my acceleration, or my momentum actually, and I was not able to get him back before the finish line. So in this race, I end up finishing 5th. The final went off good, no penalties. Everybody was pretty quick, and like I mentioned, I had to do some evaluation and figure out how I was going to get a little faster, because driving around in 5th place that far away from guys I'm usually relatively close to was not fun. So we'll see you all at the next video. Shouldn't be too far away.